being I guess, being a little humorous, and that's kind of good. I think at this time we need a little humor too. But whenever I don't know when you're ready, Mr. Laurie, but it is 7 o'clock, as I see, and if you are ready, we will turn the microphone over to you. Do you need the screen, or should we just use a regular screen?
Gene, I think this is fine. Mark had to just
Okay.
step out for 1 second. He'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put this screen up then. Okay. So they
Yep,
know.
that looks good. Yep.
And then again about the daily updates, we want to remind people that there is a daily update. We do get emails concerning them, but they're also Twitter, Facebook, and I think we've crashed
We did it. All
100
right. We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
200.
Now I've memorized all the names, so if someone leaves early, I'll know that. Now,
Very
Okay.
good.
all right. Here's what I think. Here's what I think I'd like to do. I would like to tell you everything that I know or I can think of, and I hope I'll take me 15 minutes or so, and I'll share everything with you, and then we'll take questions, and you guys can arrange the questions of things that I might not have covered. And it's really good because I can only think of, what I'm thinking of and what questions have been put before me through different sources. So it's great to be on here tonight. Thank you guys for Roger and Gene, especially Ray, especially. Thank you for being here to the 217 people. Thank you. I don't have a lot of new information, but hopefully you'll find this reassuring and clarifying, and hopefully it will maybe alleviate some stress. I hope I don't cause any. So let me start. I was sitting at my desk at work here thinking, oh my God, 2 weeks ago, who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought we'd be here? I'm thinking about the budget. I'm thinking about staffing. I'm thinking about all kinds of issues, and I'm sure everybody else was. And a week ago, I'm meeting with the superintendents, and we didn't know. We said we would probably put until further notice we won't return. That gave us the option to maybe come back before Easter break, but we didn't think so. And I know Erie County went out until the 20th of April. And I have to tell you, right now, I really don't have any sense of what the return date would be for students or staff. I have opinions, I have thoughts, and at some point I can share those with you. And I will later on, but those are just opinions and my own personal thoughts. I'll only tell you what I factually know. Okay, so I wanted to start by thanking people which really need to be thanked. Let me start because we're talking to, I just lost my picture. There's my picture. Yep, that's great. I can't even look at that though. I can't look at that the whole time. I'll stay on here as long as the questions are coming. So if that's 20 minutes, 20 minutes. If it's 2 hours, 2 hours. I'll stay on here as long as you want. I just want to thank everybody, first of all, for those who have reached out to kids and helped them and, sent their own messages, their personal messages. I want to thank all of the teachers and staff that have done that. And those that haven't had the opportunity or the technology to do that, I want to thank you because there's no right or wrong way to handle this. As long as you're taking care of yourself and your family, thank you. As long as you're part of this solution, thank you. So the level of which you are participating is with what you're comfortable with, and I appreciate any level that is. So thank you for whatever you're doing. I sincerely appreciate that. There's no way to respond. There's no right way to respond. There's no wrong way to respond. There's no book. There's no emergency manual on how to do this. We're kind of building this bridge one step at a time. Let me go to work here. Okay. So at the beginning of this whole thing, we created a COVID team, and it's kind of shrunk. Of course, Ray's on it because of his technology background and all the technology he's responsible for. Rick Carella's on it because of his curriculum insight and knowledge and work. Maria Massaro, obviously key, her human resources work. Joe Gerizzo has a major part in this. with finance. Julie Dorr has been putting the communication together with Diane Spicone. Kevin Edwards has worked tirelessly with all the cooks and kitchen staff and safety officers and lunch monitors to make sure that we've served enough lunches and have the food ready. And Earl, of course, Earl Smeal has done a yeoman's job with deliveries and pickups and so on and so forth. I don't want to start any, I really haven't done much, just got on camera and got on TV. Those are the guys and gals that are doing the work, along with all the administrators in the schools who have orderly kind of guided the parents and families through this. I appreciate them. Finally, this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's how I think. The Board of Education has really remembered their role in this whole process. The Board of Education is there for policy, guidance, and support, and I've communicated with them 2 or 3 times a day by text, and they've really allowed us to make the decisions and do the things in an operational way. So I have to thank the Board of Education along with our administrators, our teachers, all of our unions. The leaders of our unions have been stellar during this, whether it's Mr. Weiss leading the teachers, because he picks up things that I may forget to say, and I know he communicates those to the teachers. Diane Spicone's doing double duty, leading a union and doing her job. Earl Smeal is representing his group, Jeff Showers, and Gary Knight from the Associates Group. So I appreciate that. I'm not going to name all of the people that have helped, but they've been key leaders on this COVID team. So when we started this journey about a week ago, I thought we could lay out four objectives that we would look at every single day. Of course, security and safety goes without saying, so that wasn't even an objective. We're always going to err on that side. And I'll take the objectives one at a time and then try to explain everything we've done inside those objectives. Number 1 was communication. Tonight, having 258 people on this computer is a really good communication tool. Didn't want to do it last Sunday because it was kind of overwhelming and things were changing super fast. 258 people. Yesterday, we taped a TV show with the help of Mr. Moranto on 1302 Spectrum. I had the mayor and had Joe Ruffalo on. Every day, I know probably to where people are hanging up, I'm going to send an all call around 5 o'clock, just so that we keep people informed. Finally, our YouTube videos. We'll do one of those every day until this gets resolved, just so you have the most up-to-date and latest information. Those were the avenues of communication. I will probably double back with Rich Moranto and do another television show. I know I got some good response from that. But what we'll continue to do are these Sunday night webinars, television show, YouTube videos, and daily auto dialer calls. So that was the way we attacked communication. The next area that was really critical was medication. As the staff knows, we have so much medication in our school for kids. Some of it is of the narcotic brand, and some of it is just, just general medicine for health ailments. The narcotic brand is that for ADD and ADHD. And we know parents and families sometimes don't have their medicines at home as well as in school, especially not the narcotic brand. So it was really important that we get the medicines back in the hands of the parents. If you know of a parent who needs medication, we're not bringing our nurses in anytime soon, but the nurses did a really great job last week making phone calls to parents to come in. Did every parent come in and pick up their medication? No. Do we still have medications in school? Yes. What should you do if you know a parent or a parent calls you as a teacher or administrator or whomever? You should dial Dr. Civaroli. Her number is on the website, 286-0788 or 87. Either number she'll pick up. And please know these folks, if they're not at their desk, they've set it so that the message will come to their cell phones, which is really great. Dr. Civaroli deserves special mention. She is on our team. She's a doctor. She's our nurse practitioner. She's a supporter, a cheerleader, a guidance counselor, a coach. She's done quite a bit, at least to help this situation and to help me personally. So without her leadership and her guidance, we would not be anywhere near where we needed to be without Dr. Joe Civaroli, who has really done a great job. She's kind of slapped my hand a couple of times when I said, well, maybe we should bring somebody in here. Nope, you want to keep as few people involved as possible. And she's right. She's completely right. So I appreciate that Dr. Civaroli has the knowledge, but also the fortitude to push me back when I need to be. And that's pretty frequent, you know, as you can imagine. But without Dr. Civaroli, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we would be as a district. So thank you to Joanne. Please give her thanks when you see her. Very difficult job. So if you have a kid or a child who needs medication picked up, you have to deal directly with her. She is so good that tomorrow she's going to go around with Kevin and just look at how we're distributing food and materials as kind of an auditor to make sure we're doing it right and not putting anyone picking up food or books or material in harm's way. So she's gone from being a doctor and a nurse practitioner to being an auditor that will say, stop, you need to do this way. So we listen to her and we appreciate her. The next objective was to deal with food. Our community relies on the school for food, especially in certain areas and certain with certain needs. They rely on. That's why we're moving ahead with our dinner program. I hope that everybody now can see how critical this is to the health and well-being of our children. Last week, we distributed just a little less than 10,000 meals. So that was 5,000 pickups, okay? When I say 10,000, that was 5,000 bags of food because the food, we count a meal in two. There's a breakfast and a lunch. And, you know, we get a lot of feedback, and two pieces of feedback we received on the food were this. Why isn't there any milk in there? Well, I made a conscious decision last Sunday not to include milk because we don't always know how long until the milk is consumed. And my worry was a container of milk that was sitting out next to a window, that was sitting there for a week, could get somebody sick. And that person would maybe need some medical attention and cut into the medical attention that's needed for this virus. That was the decision. Well, lo and behold, and I don't want to blame anyone, but lo and behold, we were cited because we weren't giving the balanced lunch and breakfast that we were supposed to, and we were told that we had to give milk. That's okay. We're giving milk. We started Friday, and we'll do it again this week. The second query that I received a lot about food was, why isn't there any peanut butter? Why, you know, Wheatfield's giving out peanut butter sandwiches. Another conscious decision we made. We don't know who has peanut allergies. We're trying to be supportive of that. And that's the reason why we've asked Kevin, and Kevin agrees not to give out any peanut butter sandwiches at this time. Okay. Finally, the other complaint we've received about food is that some people are leaving with 20 bags. And, you know, that's not right, because there shouldn't be 20 people gathered anywhere in any situation or house. But my belief, my philosophy, my thinking, you can think anything you want about that, is if somebody, I told the distributors, please don't argue with people. Let's be reasonable. If somebody needs to take 12 bags, it shouldn't be because there's 12 people in the house. It should be because somebody needs food. And, you know, better there than sitting somewhere else that doesn't get served. It's not a free for all to give away tons and tons of bags, but I do have a very liberal opinion of that. And I want to make sure people have enough food. And if it doesn't go to the child and it goes to somebody else, well, then good for them. I know personally, you know, we're blessed. I'm blessed to always have enough food. So that's where we are with food. We will continue to serve food every day this week. And what Kevin's going to do on Friday, I think he's waiting for a direction, is put even a little bit more food in the bag on Friday so that families will have more for the long weekend of Saturday and Sunday. Kudos and big props to the cooks, the assistant cooks, the safety officers, the lunch servers, the lunch ladies and men who've come in to help us with this between 11 and 1. Over the Easter break, my thought is we would continue to serve food. And if the numbers stay where they're at, we'll keep going at 5 days. If they're starting to wane, we'll maybe cut it back to every other day like they've done in Buffalo. But right now, for the next week or two, my intention is every day. Finally, and of course, not least important, but learning packets. To the credit of the staff and the teachers and people like Mr. Corella, he really put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we have meaningful learning packets. Let me go through this quickly as I can, and I'm sure I'll be missing some things. Number one, the learning packets for pre-K to 8 will be available starting on Tuesday. We're going to ship them to the schools. They're going to be at the same place as the lunch deliveries, 11 to 1. They'll all be grade level specific. These are reinforcement activities. These are reinforcement activities only. Some of the packets are very thick. I hope we encourage kids not to do them all in a couple of days. I hope that they, use the time. These are 3 weeks worth of work. Are they going to be graded? No, they're not going to be graded. The reason they're reinforcement packets and nothing new is because that's the beauty and gift of being a teacher. You are the ones that are introducing the new material when you can in a class setting. The learning packets are for reinforcement activities of kids, everything that should have already been taught. No, there's no grade. No, there's no penalty for not having returned them. We hope that kids will do them. We hope it'll give them something to do. We hope parents will sit down with them and use it as a time to build family and community. The learning packets will also be available for K to 8 at the 2 middle schools. Fewer packets because we've had fewer people subscribe to lunch at the 2 middle schools, but fewer packets. As of today, we'll only have ELA packets for the middle school students. Mr. Corella is meeting with the administrators of the middle schools or the prep schools tomorrow, and I know he's going to be talking to some teachers about more prep school packet material. The high school is a big challenge with 2,000 students, multiple classes, multiple subjects. To the credit of the administrative team at the high school, they're doing it in a more course-based way. They have a process that they will call parents and families Tuesday and Wednesday and begin distributing the high school packets only at Niagara Falls High School. Okay, so that will come out later this week. Kind of trying to take this chunk by chunk, day by day, not overwhelming, not confusing, but to be in a real systematic mode. So the high school packet is forthcoming. So that's the learning packets. We just made photocopies of. We outsourced this because here's what was happening. So you know what was happening here. We broke one of the I broke one of the copiers, the big central copiers, and probably will take a while to get the part back. So what we did is we contracted with an outside vendor to make all of our copying because we hope that we'll return to school, and I don't want 11 schools with broken copy machines when we return. So we outsourced it even beyond BOCES because this copying was taking a toll on the BOCES copier. So yesterday we sent all of what was remaining, I think it was grades 3 through 8, out to a private vendor who we paid for, thought it was money well spent, and they delivered boxes today, and Earl Smeal and Joe Gerizzo went to the vendor and picked them up last night and brought them back by a truck. Teacher's Desk. John Micah at Teacher's Desk, and to all of the teachers who work for Teacher's Desk, oh my God, we have 7,200 books that we'll start distributing. Hardcover, beautiful books, 7,200 books. In addition to that, we have 1,000 packets, I don't know, they're called Yogi packets or something. They've got erasers, pencils, pens, crayons, rulers, things in there, mainly for the younger kids. They'll be available tomorrow, or they'll be available Tuesday when we start to distribute. The learning packets will be the focus of this week. It doesn't mean that learning isn't important. It means that the safety of the students and the staff was first, communication was next, taking care of those who need medication followed, with food, and then with learning. just like the term essential personnel. Well, essential personnel, that always said, well, if I'm not essential personnel, what am I? I think it's a very bad title. It's just an on-call person for the day, on call. So tomorrow, our drivers and our grounds people will be critically essential to get this stuff to the schools. I've always said it, but it bears fruit today and during this crisis. It doesn't matter what position you own in this district. It's the power of your skills and ability, your influence of ideas that make us all work well. So this was a perfect example of that. Let me talk a little bit about staff and payroll and insurance and all that stuff, because those are things that are on people's minds. We are extremely fortunate in the positions that we have. I was a little bit upset with the NFL, the Football League, the National Football League, and even baseball. You know, they're signing these big contracts now. I know it's in their window to sign, but it doesn't mean you can't change that window just because it's listed during this month. They're signing these big contracts for baseball players and football free agency. And I love football as much as anyone. But my God, I think it's a bit insensitive to be signing these major contracts at a time when we have people who are out of work, who need money maybe to get through the week. And I know the president has promised a lot of things, but not until cash is in some people's hands does it really matter, you know? So I got my dander up a little bit about that, out of my control. Now I'm just giving you my opinion about things like that. Let's talk about school personnel, staff, etc. First, I can't tell you how many people have emailed me and others about helping. We appreciate it. We're totally grateful. The reason why we're not tapping into everybody or anybody is because of that doctor and nurse. No, it's not because of Dr. Joe. It's because we're trying to practice social distancing, even with ourselves. Even when we have a team meeting here, we sit in our same seats, we clean our areas, and we move far apart. I don't want to introduce new people that haven't been part of this to multiply the effect that could happen. It's not that we don't appreciate you, we do. Thank you. Even the thought means a heck of a lot. It really does. You'll never know how much it means. Next, our staff will continue to be paid. All hourly pay, all regular salary people will be paid on their regular schedule. I had to make a decision about substitutes. I'm sorry. I know I didn't make everyone happy. When we had to make a cutoff based on the number of days worked and so on and so forth. I kind of made that decision. I made it. It was if you work 75 days, we would pay you as if you were going to work the full 5 days, except for Easter, unless you were in a long-term position for somebody and we anticipated you would keep going. So that was a decision I made. It was one of the more difficult ones, I have to tell you. And I know that probably causes hardship for people. But if you fall below that category or this doesn't apply to you, please contact Ms. Massaro if you haven't already. She'll give you some help and support in terms of unemployment and other things. And I made that decision with a real it was a real tough one, because these are our next group of people that are going to be working with us. So I'm cognizant of that. I'm trying to be fair, and I know we can't make everybody happy all the time. If you don't have direct deposit, Ms. Holliday has sent out a form to you. You can sign up, scan it back, mail it back. Don't bring it here. It won't apply to this week's paycheck, but it will apply to the one in April. The next one I think is April something or other. If you want to get direct deposit, and it's a good reason to get it, we encourage everybody to have direct deposit. Please sign up and we'll do it for the following paycheck if you get it in this week. If you have a live check, meaning that it's not direct deposit, we will mail those on Friday. If you have a direct deposit stub, we're going to hold on to those and we'll get them to you down the line. I'm trying to think about staff. If you're in the sick bank, if you are those days it stopped, you know, if you were taking a personal day, that'll be erased, you know, in the coming weeks or so. I don't want to say how far out yet because I don't know, but those will all be credited to your account. Don't worry about that. Let me think. I'll probably come up with more haven't decided yet on this Thursday's Board of Education meeting. There will be no presentations. We have 13 items to vote on. I offered the board 4 suggestions for the meeting, and the president and the rest of the board will be talking about it. The suggestions were to do it in person with no audience and tape record the meeting, to do it by telephone, to try to do it over a GoToMeeting system, or to post or cancel the meeting and have a meeting on April 2nd when maybe a lot of this, not the virus, but a lot of the paperwork is kind of behind us. So that's this Thursday, and we'll have a decision for you this week. But we do want to make sure that no one attends, not because we want to keep you away, but because we want to practice social distancing. All right, I just spoke to the mayor, something that wasn't on the YouTube or the call tonight is that tomorrow the mayor is going to close all the playgrounds. And we'll close our 4 or 5 school playgrounds too. We'll make an announcement that they're off limits. I guess in New York City, people were all over playgrounds, and I think Andrew Cuomo talked about basketball players playing today. It's not a good time to play basketball unless you were shooting alone, because if you were guarding somebody, you'd be closer than 6 feet, and if you weren't guarding somebody closer than 6 feet, you're a terrible player. He's never seen me play. I don't play much defense. I was just looking to shoot all the time, but that's probably the reason why they're closing playgrounds. And Mr. Mayor Rustino is going to do that tomorrow. Pick up for materials will be at the same place as lunches. We'll spread the tables out more. I'm grabbing my notes here. Child care at the Boys Club for first responders. They have 25 signed up at the Boys and Girls Club as of 7 o'clock this evening. I just checking my email. 25 kids. That's for first responders. It's 7:30 to 6 o'clock. It's free. It's free. Well, it's free to the users. The district, and I'm thinking that the United Way is going to step in here to help, and the district will help pay the freight for those people. You don't have to be a Niagara Falls student. You could have you could be a charter school student. It's really for Niagara Falls first responders. There are daycare centers open in other parts of the county if you need to have daycare. Let's see here. The library director emailed me last night. I told her I would tell everybody I could. The library is open both LaSalle and Main Street Monday to Friday. No public access to the building. So if you want a book, a DVD, a talking book, you call the phone number at the library. I don't know if anybody's got a pencil with them, but I'll read the numbers. 286-4894 or 283-8309, or email them, nflref@nioga.org, nflref@nioga.org, and you make the request. It's just, and then they fill the request. So they've got workers inside there filling the requests for books. I've been kidding Mr. Girizzo. He's been taking books out every day. I think he reads a book a day. It's quite amazing that he can do everything he does and still reads a book, because every day I look on our table and he's got a different title. So, but those books are available if you call ahead. Library staff will pull them off the shelf. And then when you go to pick up your book, you'll do it the same way you pick up a lunch. There's tables of donated books to pick up as well. And more good news, the fines. So if you've been holding that library book, now is the time to return it, because they're waiving the fines and all the slots are open. I know I caused a little buzz among the students earlier this week, and I was kind of glad to see that. Kind of glad, not so glad. The buzz was, I'm keeping the report card schedule going, and then the concern was, especially among the high school students, well, I was going to turn in work. So half of me says, well, you shouldn't have been that far behind. The other half of me understands, having 2 of my 3 children who certainly would have been in that case. My reply to all son certainly would have had everything turned in. The other 2 would have been having the same statement as a lot of our students. No student should be or will be penalized because of a lack of work that was not turned into the 30-week marking period. Simply, they'll put an I on the report card and give a student a chance to make it up. I spoke to Niagara University president, Niagara NCCC president yesterday. Check their web pages if you have information or if you have questions about anything. I've also tried to contact all of the scholarship providers. The Common Scholarship, which we control, the deadline is pushed out. The pre-K application, deadline pushed out. We won't hold any deadlines to their original date. Just know that we're talking to scholarship providers and pre-K, which we control. The deadlines are now not in effect. Please relax. We'll all work together. Here's an opinion. When we return, it's going to take a while to get back just to normal. So I understand all those decisions will have to be made. It's not proper to make them now. It just isn't. Colleges, many of them have rolling application processes. If you can, your students can work on them at home, let them work on them. If not, please consult the college's website. Let's see here. You know what? I should probably stop. Let me just one more page, and then we'll get questions. Our web page. I know I mentioned Diane and Ray. We have that COVID welcome page. We're trying to keep it up to date. They did a great job on doing it on the fly. Our web page is up to date. Make sure you visit our web page. The resources are up to date. Here's something that Mr. Graneri has really been insisting on. There are a lot of technology tools out there, and everything that we have in the district has been vetted by Ray and team, not just Ray. He's got a technology committee, and I've watched this happen. If a new resource comes, it always comes to the technology team that has as much insight as any group I've ever seen about technology. It gets vetted and approved and put on our list. We would really want to discourage anyone from adding non-vetted technology links. This is a very cynical statement I'm going to make, but even during these terrible times, there are opportunists out there who are looking to use websites and links and do things to hook you in to do nefarious things through your computer system. Please accept my cynicism as reality here. Any link or website that we're using as a school district has to go through the district. In this case, since he can't get the technology committee together, that's Mr. Graneri. Anything that has already been approved, of course, is approved. And we've got so many of those. I just know Achieve 3000, Castle Learning, Smarty, MobiMax, all of those ones that you guys get, you work on all the time. Okay. All right. That was a good 30 minutes. Yeah, that's Roger, Gene. All right. Let me try some questions.
Yeah, I've got a question and asking for teachers in self-contained classes. What grade level do our kids take? We have multiple grade levels, and most of our kids are not on grade level, and they don't want to frustrate the kids with unrealistic expectations for anything in the packets.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Hard one to answer. Good point. If someone would like to take a reinforcement packet below grade level, we're not going to be saying, no, you're in third grade, you can't take a second grade or first grade. We don't want to embarrass anyone. I got a few nasty emails, and that's one of them. We're not providing occupational therapy and physical therapy because we don't want that social distancing broken. I guess that teachers can, of self-contained kids, hopefully that there's some outreach to their children. They can tell them that you might want to pick up this packet or that packet. I'm asking the administrators tomorrow not to say, nope, he's a third grader. I just don't want one kid walking away with 71 packets, but they can take a lower packet. If a student doesn't know and a teacher wants to reach out, they can do that. There's no harm in that. I can't, we'll certainly have to, bring this district back and think about how we're going to compensate for special ed students who aren't, at their instructional level all of the time through this crisis. But I'm not going to stop a student from taking a lower level packet or have a long discussion about it And the reason being is that we want to move the line quickly. Now, if this were to continue longer, than the 3 weeks worth of work in April 20th, because I don't see any way, shape, form possible that we'll be back before April 20th in any way, shape, or form. If this were to continue longer than April 20th, we're really going to rely back on maybe more individual teachers for the next set of learning packets and objectives. I don't have a clear picture of that, but when you ask the special education self-contained question, we're really going to have to think of a way to get special ed teachers a little, more directly involved with their students and their classes. Not trying to offend anybody with that. My answer to the question is take a lower packet. On the same token, if there is an accelerated student who wants to take a higher packet, we're not going to pull that away from them if they want more to do. We've only made enough packets for what we think our student population is, so I'm asking people not to hoard them, but if they take them, to do them and to use them appropriately. Probably not my best answer because I don't have it all figured out, but I'm cognizant that if we move beyond April 20th, we're going to need to be a little bit more specific in the packets. What else?
Kind of a follow-up question, in this general realm is, if by some chance children do not return this year, has there been any discussion or thoughts as to what will take place next year, assuming we roll open in September?
Yeah, I've started to think about that, and I don't know the answer, so please don't, because this will be archived, I hope, Roger and Gene. Please don't say that. Mark Laurie said on the webinar, we're not coming back. I hope and pray we can come back and take this for all students, especially those who have gone through our system for 13 years, who are seniors, who are missing their last softball season or track season or baseball season or tennis season. I know I'm missing a sport, or those seniors who are going to be in the whiz that should have been over and we should have been celebrating it last night. I really feel for those students. I really, really feel for them. I feel for them about graduation, prom, post-prom, class day, all of the rites of passage that we know are important to kids and that many of them have looked forward to. My hope is that we can get back, but in my head, I've got to think about if we don't. One of the things I would hope that if we don't, that we would be able to do something in July and August and really beef up our summer offerings, really beef up our summer offerings in July and August. I can't see us retaining or holding a student back from this as a result of this. I really can't see it. That's what I mean. It's going to take a week to just get back up to speed and make all those decisions that this district with 7,258 kids will need to make on an individual basis. So if we don't come back, and again, I don't want to put a lot of conjecture out there, we'll hope to beef up summer programs just so we can get learning kind of going, get the buildings kind of going again. If not, September, we'll have to do a lot of, we'll know it, and we'll do a lot of curriculum work between the time we know it and the time we come back, just to kind of reset some curriculums about concepts that weren't taught. So I've thought about that. I thought about our 8th graders who are taking living environment and algebra. I don't know what that'll mean. I don't know. I know yesterday that the AP students are going to take an online 45-minute AP exam. Now, I really don't know what that means. And here's a little bit of me being a cynic again, too. I mean, a 45-minute online AP exam with content only covered up through the point in the year when, the governor shut down schools or the president came on. I don't know what that's going to look like for AP credit. I think there's a little bit of other thing going on with the College Board and the AP trying to hold on to something there. But I don't even know what that'll look like. And if I can get on, I'll have some people get on and look at what those tests are. But that's what the AP is going to be. There's a lot of decisions we'll have to make. In my head, by April 20th, May 1st, I think we'll know pretty well if we're coming back or not. I think we're a month away from that decision. Yet I'm not naive to the fact that the governor says things like 45 to 60 days. And who knows if the clock's even started? Yeah, I don't even know if the clock started. Did it start last Wednesday when the governor made his announcement? Is that the first of 45 days? Is it a rolling clock that hasn't even started? I don't know. But when I think about those things in context of the remainder of the school year, it makes me wonder if we'll get back. Because if we're going to do this right, I think we need that time away. So yeah, I thought a lot about what will happen next year. I'm not going to punish a child or a student, no way. And I know, even though we know what grades mean and grades don't mean, there's a lot of kids that still think they got to move forward. We'll move forward and adjust. We'll be the adults, and we'll support what the kids need with a revamped curriculum and revamped processes for going forward. And I'll put this out there. I'll put it out there. I will put it out there because I'm sure there's a question. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's thought of this. This is causing a lot of trauma for families and for people. We're all trying to stay calm and supportive. But I might as well put this out there. I'll have to reconsider some of the projects that I'm thinking about doing for next year. What I'm specifically mentioning is sister schools. If we get back April 20th, and we can get full steam ahead, we'll make a go of it. If we don't get back, I'm not going to cause trauma to families. I know it's traumatic enough. That doesn't mean that today I said we're not doing it, but I'm not going to be coy and not bring something up that I'm sure is on people's mind. And I'm not going to put people through more trauma. So I'm thinking about that. I've got ideas in my head. This is enough trauma for people. I would never do that to anyone, yet I don't have a drop dead date in my mind. But I'm very cognizant of that, very aware of things that we're doing for the good of everyone, and I don't want to cloud that at all. So I'm thinking about all those things. That's a long-winded answer to a very simple question that I don't know the answer to, but I just want you to know I've been thinking about that stuff. So please know that it's not far from the front of my mind. Hope that helps.
And that's kind of the
Yeah.
elephant in the room, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Rod,
Yeah. Well, let me. No, it was the elephant in the room, Roger. I'm not. I think. For me, it's not traumatic because, well, I guess. Yeah. I always try and look at where people came from, and this will be my 36th year coming up, and I think I've been in 12 different jobs, 12 or 13 different jobs, and in 6 of the schools. So I kind of got used to moving around. I kind of liked it after a while. I could use the line that I couldn't hold a job down. Really, no, I didn't stay long enough anywhere for people to find all my weaknesses out. I was pretty slick at avoiding those. But I understand that change is difficult for people. I really, really, really do. So to that elephant in the room, I'm very aware of it. I will not cause more trauma. I will not cause more, upheaval in the system than it is. I still believe it's a good idea. I still believe we're going to go forward with it, but it just might delay my decision. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. I can't tell you it'll be April 20th when I make it or May 1st. I promise. I am reading the leaves on that though, and I will do what's best for kids moving forward, and I will communicate that to parents. Really, really funny, because this was the week I was going to get on the auto dialer and call those 3 schools. I have a script all written, and I would say, all right, I'm going to get some pushback, but I'm going to go forward with what I believe is the right thing. But then, this is a much bigger issue. I'll bring another elephant in the room up while I have the floor. We have 2 principal retirements, 2 administrator retirements, 2 darn good administrators. My God, Tina Smeal is a wonderful person and a wonderful administrator. Hate to see her go. And then the other guy, Jim something or other, Spanbauer, something like that. Spanbauer, I know. I mean, what he's done at every level, and what he's doing at LaSalle. I mean, he as well as being a friend of mine, a good friend is Tina. We have to replace 2 principals. They're already approved to retire. I promised the teachers, I promised everybody, the principals, administrators, that by March 26th, I'd make that decision. I just don't think it's right to do that now. I'm going to replace the principals, but I just don't think it's right. I don't want to take people's minds off of not relaxing and being calm, but I don't want the conversation should be about being good socially distant by taking care of themselves and their family and by doing the right thing by their students as best they can, if they can. And if they can't, that's okay too. So I don't want to cloud that picture by announcing principal moves like we had intended to in a perfect world that we've just had rocked this past week. So I've asked for your indulgence to hold off on that. We will have principals in every school. Right now, there's been no changes. So that was another elephant I thought might be out there, but that was my choice. And I'm going back on my word, but who thought this would have happened, you know? Next.
Okay, Raj, I got one here. I think you've
Oh
partially.
man, what? $2.99, Gene. $2.99.
Yeah, I saw that.
Your friend.
I
Raj,
gotta
Don't
squeeze
get
one
somebody.
more.
Raj,
Somebody go dial in again.
Raj, dial in again. This one I think you've answered somewhat, and I think it might bear some.
Yes, we did. Whoever that 300 one is has
Okay, there
tomorrow
you
off.
go.
I don't know who that was, but they have tomorrow off.
Okay. Hey, it says, I've been using Class Dojo to communicate with my families on a daily basis. Can I utilize Zoom to hold a meeting so my students can see me and one another through the video? Just
Oh,
for, just for any
guess who
parent.
just showed up at the call, Roger? Guess who just showed up? Ray Granary. He just showed up.
Well, I think that would be, yeah. But yeah, I think that might bear some discussion.
That falls under the established software, things we've used in the past. The emphasis really is on introducing new technology resources to the district during this time. That's where we have the potential for some grief. Existing software that we used in the past, as a general statement, is okay.
My only fear is that. Yeah, so Zoom, Ray, you gave the Zoom is okay. So tomorrow, administrators, what are we using tomorrow?
Go to meeting.
Tomorrow, administrators, we're using GoToMeeting. Oh, that 300th person left. You gotta. It's probably the reply to all. It's probably the reply to all guy. Yeah. So Zoom is fine. Class Dojo is great, and some people can do that. Others can't. No harm, no foul. Whatever you can do to help our kids is what you can do. You know, appreciate it. And it is, as I said at the beginning, if you can't take care of yourself and your family, we got a lot to do here too after this. All right, next question.
Raj?
Yes, can social workers and counselors reach out to families and offer telecommunication counseling sessions if the families are interested? A lot of these students only receive mental health services through school. Has there been any discussion around this?
There has. It came to me first, you know, I should be so smart to think of all these things. It came to me from Gaskill first last week, where what the administrators were doing there was calling their high-risk kids. Okay, certainly in this crisis, every kid could be considered high risk. Yeah, they can. What I don't want is I don't want people in the buildings. You know, I don't want people in the buildings. But you know, if a staff member in that counseling area is willing to reach out to call one of their children, I think that's wonderful. And if you need to get a list or phone numbers, call your administrator. They're going to be in. I know they would appreciate that. We can't forget about mental health. The district has put a big emphasis on mental health right now, and we've got the best team of mental health people, the social workers, the counselors, the school psychologists, and the teachers. They're mental health professionals in my book. So yeah, that's great. I know that you know, the only place that I get a little leery of is when one of our staff members is going to the house of someone. I would really ask you not to do that, even if it's to bring food or books or materials. I'd rather have that parent contact central office, and we'll help them. But I really don't want staff going to homes for lots of reasons. Mainly right now it's social distancing, but a phone call, a remind message, a Class Dojo, a Zoom meeting, anything like that, I think is great, because there's got to be kids wondering what is going on here. You know, what is going on? What is happening? And I always say, even though we only have the kids 20% of the time, 20% of the time during a week, we're the best thing some of our kids have. We're the best thing some of our kids have. and you have no idea the impact a phone call would make on the behavior and attitude of a child, especially during this time. Wow, would that be powerful? If you're able to do it, that would be great.
Okay.
Next.
What about students taking college classes through NU or NCCC?
NU, Niagara University, has on their webpage, I spoke to Dr. Colley and Father Mahar yesterday. On their webpage, they have some information about that. Those students will get all of the local credit, the local high school credit. Don't worry about your high school credit. But in order to get your college credit, I would refer you to the NU website. NCCC is working on theirs. I spoke to Dr. Morbido and Monica Lapoida yesterday morning. They're working on putting something out. There are some very difficult courses that they're wrestling with. Physics, big wrestle right now. Things like that. Please refer those questions to the NCCC website. What I can tell you is what I can control. I can control what happens in Niagara Falls, and those students should do what they can, but it won't impact their standing in Niagara Falls. So NU and NCCC websites, I haven't been there yet. Dr. Colley said theirs is pretty elaborate. NCCC's is building theirs. I'll push those institutions again to make sure that this question keeps coming up from parents and staff who care about those credits. I have not received official word yet for those that have paid. Will there be any refunds? I've put that out there though. If they weren't able to deliver a credit or grant a credit, could a parent, and how could a parent request a refund? Because I know there are people that pay. I know I did. And once again, my reply to All Sun got a lot of college credits. The other two, I think they got 6 between both of them. So I understand that it's an important thing to parents, especially mine. Let me just divert here a minute because Mr. Jurizo walked in too. He put his book down finally. He's reading a book a day. I don't know how he's doing it. Now I'm starting to get worried about the budget with him, but he's reading a book a day. But anyway, let me divert here. Hang on. Middle school people, middle school teachers. I canceled the Washington D.C. trip. I don't think we're going to Washington D.C. in May. I don't believe that's going to happen. Parents have been calling me about refunds, and I understand, teachers, that the great leaders of those trips have used some of the money to buy shirts and tags and badges and buttons to keep our kids safe and known. I get it. But there is other money that was going towards busing and hoteling and food that hasn't been expended. We had to cancel the trip, and now I'm asking the schools, the principals of the schools, to work with the vendors and to work with the class advisors to see how fast we can get the money deposited in our accounts so we can, the school treasurers, can start cutting checks back to the family. Why do I say that? Because it illustrates and illuminates that there are families who have outlaid $350 in some cases, and I know they've worked to sell candy bars, whatever, but that's money they need in their pockets because they might be out of work. So that became a priority to us yesterday. So I know our middle school administrators are on it. We're aware of it. We know how important that money is to the families. Okay, thanks. Sorry, what else you got, Roger Dean?
Raj, you got anything?
Yes, a question from one of the building administrators is asking whether or not the packets, the content of the packets is or will be available online for students.
Yes, they will. They will be online. Ray, you want to jump in? Ray's worked on the online stuff.
Yep, we have most of them digitally captured. By tomorrow, we'll have all the grades digitally captured, which we'll post to the COVID site. I'm hoping sometime probably tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ray, for the teachers too. So I want the teachers to see what's in these packets. Not everybody has been able to be a part of it. Department chairs at the high school have done a yeoman's job of doing that. We appreciate that. Coaches have done a great job, K-8, but the teachers should see what we're sending home, even though it's not for a grade, it's not for points. So Ray is going to post those or make sure they're all the packets are going to be posted online. So I feel I have to watch my pushing, because if it's up to me, and the people here know this, if it was up to me, everybody would have had lunch for a week, all the packets done, medications returned in 2 days. And, that's my impatience. I'm good for impatience, but the governors of the room around me say, we got to just take this really sequentially and slowly. But if I've missed somebody in the communication, or I've not acknowledged something, it's not out of lack of respect or appreciation. It's just out of moving with sometimes a tunnel vision to follow the plan. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone or to the work that anyone's done. I do appreciate it. So please, I don't want to hurt feelings. We have enough trauma and enough, uncertainty right now to deal with hurt feelings. So I take it on. I own it. I own it. If it didn't happen, and I'll try harder. I really will. What do you got?
Raj, anything else?
Yes, our teachers going to be able to contribute to the kids' learning since the prep level is only getting ELA. I'm
Yes.
not sure the full context. Okay.
No, that's a good question. That's a good question. So again, no disrespect to the middle school 7th and 8th grade teachers. We had to jump on a process for the high school folks with department chairs. We jumped on elementary because it was, a much easier process. The middle school is going to have to look a little bit like the high school. To that end, tomorrow the 4 administrators and Mr. Corella will be meeting with a go-to meeting in the afternoon to replicate that for the other subject areas, for the other subject areas. So that's coming. I just didn't want to wait until we got it all done. As I said, we went to an outside vendor to make copies. We couldn't take all copying 30,000 pieces of paper at one time. We just couldn't do it. First of all, as I said, I broke one, maybe 2 of the machines here, and one of the parts is going to be a long time coming in. And once I did that, I said, oh, we better look to have this done, outsource it. And it was the best, probably the only good, wasn't my idea, but it was the best decision I made to outsource it. So we had to watch the overload on copying too. So this kind of phased in. Elementary will get their packet, high school will get them later on, middle school, because they use Amplify, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, we'll get some work going. Everybody should get something by Thursday, and then we're going to really start to ask the teachers for more and more input and help after the 3-week break is up to contribute even more than they've already contributed.
Okay. A question here. You were saying that the packets will be shared online on the school district site. Can the packets be either linked to or shared on the school websites, the individual schools?
Ray's nodding his head yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe
Yeah.
just a link or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. Those are really good ideas. Again, I'm looking at Ray, and he's got, his whole team is working on this to do. So but we'll put it out there as much as we can, I guess. And the elephant in the room on this topic, there are kids that don't have technology in their house. I don't have a good answer tonight. I don't have a good answer tonight. I don't have a good answer tonight. But it's in my mind. I just got a great email from a parent, 12th grade parent. No, she's concerned. She doesn't have a computer. It may come a point when I say to Ray, okay, give me 100 computers, and we've got to do something for these kids. It's not, I'm just not that far ahead. I'm not picking on anybody from Buffalo, but I was snickering, like, how are they going to give out 36 or 2,600 Chromebooks, 26,000 Chromebooks? I don't know how that's going to work. We tried it once. I don't know how to work now. I mean, we're trying to keep as much tight as we can with, centrally, and this is much more of a top-down approach than we should probably have or like to have, but we have to keep control because of the social distancing. I wish I had $5 for everybody who would offer to help, I would be retired, because that it's been so many people, and can't thank them enough. There'll be a time we'll be able to do that, but it's not right now. It's just we're all in this together. What else you got, Roger?
We got a question about perhaps ongoing capital projects.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, that's a good question. Sorry I didn't address it. The answer is yes. Construction is allowed to continue, even though I think, again, I'm just being honest here, by the strict definition of construction, it meant, for hospitals or building in New York City, et cetera, et cetera. But our capital projects are ongoing. Let me tell you my thinking here. They have had what they call toolbox talks almost daily, which is a check with all the men and women on the safety precautions and their health before they go into a building. That's number one. Secondly, they know the protocols about not working too closely together. Thirdly, if we stop our capital projects, these men and women will be laid off. There may come a time when we have to do that. I'm not doing that yet. There's really 3 schools that are going great guns. A lot of the schools are getting work, but there's 3 schools that are going great guns with capital projects. GJ Mann, which is all set and ready to go. As a matter of fact, Ray is going in to take the technology out of there so they can do some of the work. Hyde Park, which after tomorrow will be ready to go, and they'll take the technology out of there. And we think we have an answer for everyone. And then the next school will be Maple, and we're working through a process with Maple. What we do know is that if anything were to occur with any of the individuals, if we had a suspicion of something not going right, then we would call it off. But we are going forward with capital projects. My reasoning may change. It's A, because I want to keep people working. B, because I've been assured that through the toolbox talks, proper social distancing and cleaning has taken place. And 3, I reserve the right to cancel or stop that at any time. But I think we're safe and we are going forward. The other schools, Gaskill, LaSalle, have a little bit of work going on. Mann is going to have some work going on there. This is all to put the air conditioning in, and that's really been the emphasis of it. So I made a judgment call on Friday to allow this, but I review it every day. And what I say today might be different tomorrow. But yes, the answer is yes. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Laurie, Julie McIntyre and I, Laura and Briand, put a Spanish packet together for the prep level, excuse me. Tom Vitello at the high school has it. We sent it to him. Is there some way or something that they should do? Can that be included in the prep?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I know Mr. Corella saw that email, and that's great because we're just one step further when we get the middle school stuff up. So thank you to those that put that together. And I thank you to Mr. Vitello for his department chairmanship of the second language department. A lot of the stuff that's there is going to be applicable for our middle school students. And I think it was Lauren and Julie, thank you for doing that. We will print that out and roll that throughout this week when we have more middle school packets going. So thank you guys, appreciate it. And yeah, we'll include that near the end of the week. It's not something that we have copied in hard copy right now. All we have copied in hard copy right now are pre-K to 8 and 6, 7, and 8 ELA is just Amplify. The high school, we're working on the high school copying, and then we're going to get into the middle school or prep school copying. So we will include that as packet. Thanks. Next.
Raj, I don't know if don't see any others.
Yes, well, I'll pose this question. Teacher asking if there is a phone number available where they can refer students to address their mental health. It's a very confusing and terrifying time for them. They may have no one else to speak with.
Yes, that is a very good question. Here's what I would tell the person that asked and everyone. I acknowledge that question. I acknowledge that it is terrifying. What I would first do is say to contact your school administrator. Call your school number. I'll make a point of adding that to our webinar and our call tomorrow. You know, the school administrators have been excellent at being available between 7 and 3. They don't have secretaries there. I love our secretaries, but I want to keep them socially distant. But if you contact one of our administrators, if you could tell them to do that, email them that, call the school number, leave a message. I'll make sure our administrators pick up their messages. They don't have to go into their whole story. They can just say, I think Ray Granieri needs a call or Mark Laurie needs a call. That's what I like about what the counselors and social workers, school psychologists, principals, teachers are doing. They're reaching out to their students, even if it's about, hey, don't worry about your math test. That voice with the name, the sweetest sound anyone could hear is their own name. And a familiar voice at a time when it is terrifying for some is the best thing that we can do. So using the old telephone to make that call, I think is a great, great tool. If you go to my mother's house, she still has the rotary dial phones. I just keep looking at it. On the second floor, you have to dial, stick your finger in the hole and spin it around, you know, that phone. And then on the first floor, you punch the buttons. So my mother is really cutting edge with her technology over at her house.
Okay. Hey, we have one here from a certain gentleman. Maybe I shouldn't mention his name. It says, Mr. Laurie, who is your favorite child?
Sorry.
You
I'll give you
wonder who that's
an
from?
honest answer. I'll give you an honest answer. I'm not sure why anyone would ask this on the call, but it's without a doubt my daughter. Everybody knows.
Well, I'm
She's the-
sorry, Matthew.
Listen.
Okay.
She's I have to think how old, 1998 she was born. This is how I remember my kid's age. She was born in 98, so it's 2000. No, she was born in 95. I'm sorry. She's going to be 25 on May 8th. And in 25 years, I've never had to raise my voice or correct her.
Okay.
Untrue for the other two. Untrue for the other two. Untrue. Matter of fact, when one teacher replied to all, I had to raise my voice in front of the whole district. But no, I'm pretty blessed. I'm pretty blessed that I have. You know, first of all, let me say something about my kids. They're good kids because of their mother. That's number one. Number two, best thing that I ever did was send my 3 kids to our schools. They got good education from the best teachers. And number 3, they were prepared for the world, which is what I'm most proud of. They're prepared for the world. My daughter is in Maryland right now. Just to be personal here, she is a headhunter. She went to get a job in fashion, which she got her degree in. The headhunting group liked her so much, they offered her a job, and now she's a professional business headhunter in Maryland.
Wow.
My son Matthew, you know, is a teacher at LaSalle. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud. What I'm most proud of is how much he loves his job. And I don't know if he's any good at it. I think he is, but he loves his job. And my youngest son is going to be an accountant, which is odd. But he wants to be an accountant. I'm trying to tell him to be a school business official because I look at what Joe and Becky do. It's such an easy job. So I'm trying to encourage him to be a school business official, but I think he wants to be an accountant because I think he wants to be he loves sports, and he had some really good coaches in the school district. He had a really good baseball coach, Mr. Contento. I don't think Mr. Augustino's listening. He had a really good hockey coach when he had, let's see, who did he have? Well, he had an average coach, Mr. Wotton and Mr. Ruffalo. He was never going to be a hockey player. I knew that. And no, I think he wants to be like a player agent. So we thought accounting was the best thing for him to do. So yeah, Matthew is certainly in the mix, but not number 1. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, that's who it came from, of course. Hey, there is one serious one here. The new pre-K classes that started in February. Will those
Yes.
teachers and the classroom associates still keep their positions if the sister school's plan does not start in September?
Whoa, there's a thought I have to think about. Well, we only have a lease with that building through June. That's number 1. Number 2, my goal is to keep everybody and every program that we have and roll it forward. That's my goal. So that would be my answer to this right now. If we don't have the sister schools, that's my answer. What I want to do is keep every program and everybody employed. What we've proposed, and I'm with Mr. Girizzo now, because I asked him this question this afternoon. He's got a dual role. He's got to watch all of our spending and all the financial advice and building maintenance advice he's got to give. But he's also got to watch the budget for me when my attention's been a little sidetracked. And what he tells me about the budget is there's nothing going on, nothing at all. This is taken over everything. So the worst case scenario may be what we deal with, and that's that we are in a $4.6 million budget gap, which is we're not done because I have to talk to the board about this, but that's where the budget might go on it. We've received no guidance on school board elections, no guidance on school board budget votes, none whatsoever. So right now we're sitting at a $4,600,000 budget gap, rolling everything forward that we have now, including raises and benefits and insurance and spending on things, which is what I want, and I think the board does too. That doesn't matter what I want, but I want to keep everybody employed and keep everybody moving forward the same way. So I used to say we have a good reserve fund. Thank God in the district we have a good reserve fund, that it's for a rainy day. Well, with this budget, we thought we'd get more money from the legislature. I don't think that's going to happen now. And I said, well, we'll get some money. Maybe we'll get another $1 million, and then it'll just be raining. Well, now we're in the middle of a real downpour. So I have to work with the board on, using reserves. I haven't started that yet. The board has been pretty adamant about two things: agreement that we want to keep what we have and not reduce anything or anybody. And number two, have no interest in raising taxes, none whatsoever. So I would think that the status quo would roll over if that were to happen. But there's too many ifs in that question for me to give you a rock solid answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other question I asked Joe Girizzo today and the team was, when we save more money, that this sounds terrible. I don't want to use a crisis to save money. Are we saving any money now? Well, we're saving some money in our grants, but in our general fund, everything is continuing. We're running water. We're putting lights on. We're doing. Soon the grass is going to grow. We're taking the plows off now. I hope that's not a bad decision to get the lawnmowers going. So on and so forth. And all the while, we're in the middle of this, is that we're trying to work with our insurance company to rebuild our maintenance barn. So that's been moving it was moving really well, but now it's kind of hit a little slowdown, but we're still moving with that too. So that's another thing on the plate.
Okay.
What else?
So there's a question here. You mentioned deadlines being pushed back with upcoming announcements, administration, sister schools, and so on. How will this impact other HR deadlines, such as voluntary transfers or involuntary transfers?
Yep. Yeah, it's a little bit, I can't give you a date. I have to work with the union. I know that there's a contractual obligation there. Of course, the first decision I would want to make is on sister schools. And again, I haven't decided either way, but it's on my mind. We would have to sit down with, the unions have been great. If we don't call them, they call us and ask the questions. They're really helpful in sorting out everyone's questions so that, we're not bombarded with things during our work. And they've been great about that. And reasonable too, very reasonable, which I can't believe happens everywhere. But not in this district. Our unions have always been reasonable. We don't always agree, definitely not, but they've always been reasonable. And it depends on when we come back, if we come back, and what we do with sister schools, etc. We may not have to have that long of a voluntary and involuntary transfer list, or we may have a long one if we continue sister schools. Again, paramount in my mind is trauma. And I can't send people to classes and workshops to learn about how to treat kids with trauma and then create it myself. I hope you realize I'm going to be reasonable about that, and I hope you'll be patient with me. And that's not a guarantee I'm calling anything off now. It really isn't. It's just an acknowledgement of the elephant in the room, as we said, and of the fact that I'm not looking to put more stress on anyone, even though I probably do, especially those closest to me. What else?
Well, sort of a follow-up question to the ongoing issue, what you're talking about, stress, particularly with the students, that there several people have chimed in that there are crisis hotlines available and other resources for people to reach out to if they are indeed in need.
Yeah. Let me give you this. I talked a lot about Dr. Civaroli earlier in this meeting. I tease her about being the district's Dr. Burstein. You turn the TV on and you see Gail Burstein. Well, Dr. Civaroli is that for us, and she's just studying all the time. Remember, she has skills and resources too, and has reached out to say somebody can always call Dr. Civaroli. I'll give you her number again: 286-0787. 286-0787. It's on the COVID website. If a teacher gets a referral, get that call to Dr. Civaroli. If she can't help the person, she will give it to the proper principal, central office administrator, service provider. If it's something beyond the help of kids, and you're right, whoever said it, there are crisis lines out there. They've all reached out to us and offered us help. So please, 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 feel free to reach out to her. I worry about Dr. Civaroli too. I don't want to put more on her. She's got pretty broad shoulders. She's taking a lot of the physical stuff on, but I know she'll help anyone with any kind of trauma or mental issues as well too, students especially, and staff as well. And let me tell you something about Dr. Civaroli, probably the most confidential person I've ever met. She takes her oath highly, highly seriously, and I respect her for that. And I have to go along with her. There are times when she can't tell me things, and I have to trust her judgment. Okay, what else?
If this continues and we do not return, is a process going to be set up for the students to return musical instruments?
Yeah. Yes. I don't want to say yeah. Yes. First of all, there are kids who have asked for their musical instruments. Let me address this at the high school first. On Tuesday, I was going to address this in my message tomorrow. On Tuesday, Ms. Custodi and Mr. Schmay have set up a 10-minute time window for Niagara Falls High School kids to pick up their instruments because there are kids who want to practice at home with their instruments. So I approved the schedule that Mrs. Jones sent me. So there's a name at 8, 8:10, 8:20, 8:30. They've got a schedule sent out. They're going to contact kids to pick up their instruments. If this were to continue, we'd put a process in place where there would be a drive-by way to turn your instruments in at every school. Funny, it's really funny because at this board meeting, the board is going to approve the purchase of all $300,000 worth of new instruments. I think that, that's been something, again, Mr. Girizzo has worked on all year, and we just, we got to do bidding and purchasing rules. And so we're just going to start purchasing new instruments, which we'll still do. But Mrs. Custodi and Mr. Schmay have a plan for the high school on Tuesday. Then we'll work to the elementary and middle schools next. Yeah, I'll take more questions. If we keep going, I would like to break the record of The Irishman. I think that I watched it 3 times already, the movie. Very good. 3.5 hours.
We're getting close.
3.5 hours. I'd like to break the record if I can.
Okay, we have one here. Have you received any guidance on what to do about special education annual reviews that were not held due to school cancellation?
I have not received guidance, even though I have to tell you that our special ed central staff wanted to do them by phone, and I stopped them. I don't have any guidance on it right now. I stopped them. That's one of those things where when we come back, we're going to have to unravel a whole lot of stuff. The reason I stopped them is because I feel that sometimes those annual reviews, if they're done right, and I know they are, they could raise even more questions. They could be traumatic. They could be, they needs to be a heck of a lot of paperwork and sign-offs and consents and due processes. And our team was ready to roll out a plan to do them by phone. I said, thank you for all that planning and thoughtfulness. I'm putting that on hold right now. I may revisit that in May if we're still out. But right now, annual reviews, CSE meetings are on hold, always to be subject to review. And we have received no guidance from state ed on this at all. As a matter of fact, the only guidance we've gotten from state ed is that the ELA is suspended 3 through 8. That means computer-based testing. All regular testing is off this year. That means accountability statuses and my determination are going to remain the same. We have not received one piece of information about the Regents exams. And we heard that yesterday from the College Board about AP tests. So those are kind of the big three, I think, of testing. You know, local testing is all going to be put on hold and pushed back and postponed, and I don't have answers locally. But annual review is a good question, but no, I kind of pushed back on those that really had a plan, a really darn good plan to do them by phone. I mean, if you're doing an annual review, there's a lot of give and take in the room, and it's hard to do give and take with a conference call with a lot of people. And I thought, well, let's see how this plays out. Next.
Raj?
Are spring sports canceled? Will coaches be paid?
Spring sports are postponed right now. That's number one. To answer the second question, I would rather wait. I would rather wait. Doesn't mean they will or they won't. I'm hopeful that I even have this plan in my head about how we can have spring sports in the school year if we return by June. So I'm gonna hold off on answering the pay question, even though that my reluctance to answer isn't a yes or a no. My reluctance to answer is hope that we're going to be able to put the whiz on and also have a softball game and a track meet and a tennis match and a baseball game. I try not to be unrealistic or Pollyanna about anything, but spring sports and drama productions and chess tournaments are simply suspended right now with the hope that we could get a season going. And if we get a season going, it may be modified. I just think people need to think that the way we've always done things, this is a good time to realize that we should look at everything that we're doing. Maybe we need to change. Maybe something will have to happen in July. I highly doubt. I'm 99.9% sure that we won't have regular school in July or August, but maybe that becomes the refresh time for some of these needed activities like sports and drama and elementary camps and things like that. So I think we're too early into the whole getting up. We're just climbing the hill before we can think about how it's going to look downhill. But you know, at some point we'll have to look downhill when we reach that peak. But we are not even at the peak of this, guys, and I think you know that. So, what else?
I have a question asking about a master list of technology resources that have been approved by the district so that teachers could try out some of these approved sites if they haven't personally used or seen them before.
Yes, if you go on the website under the technology section under our website, it's a fairly comprehensive list. It's not completely today updated, but it's certainly a great launching pad, and I'd be glad to answer anything that might be questionable. Just send me an email and I'll get back to you right away.
Okay. Question also, 8th grade students at the prep level, can they use the Algebra 1 packet that were made for Niagara Falls High School?
Yes, we'll just have to get it. We'll just have to get it to all the schools. So yeah, the answer is going to be yes.
Okay. Let's see. Gene, do you have anything there?
I'm looking down, and most of them have been covered. And if we do accidentally miss one, I hope the people that asked them will put them into the survey so we can get them to Mr. Laurie and get them answered. For teachers planning to retire at the end of June, will this affect them in any way?
No, I actually talked about our seniors, and you know, This won't affect them in any way. So that's number one. This won't affect them in any way. Number two, you know, I think everybody needs closure on things, you know, and I feel for those teachers a great deal because the way that you bring closure is probably saying goodbye to your last class. So if there comes a time when we can help with that closure, that's one of those things like, God, I would never have thought of. But, you know, if we can do something to help those retiring teachers close their last year of teaching, which is really quite it's quite a significant and monumental occasion, we'll do it. But in terms of penalties, days, things like that, there's no repercussions or no penalties with respect to retirement and teachers that are retiring. But what I do want to say is I want to honor those teachers by giving them any type of closure that they would want with their students and their job, because it is a sensitive thing. It's a tough thing. I can't imagine. I'm not ready to retire. I hope the board agrees with me. But I know that day will come. And I think about the old Marv Levy saying, when you start thinking about retiring and then you get closer to it. I'm not, or you act like it. I'm not there. Not to be so self-reflective, but I really have a lot of empathy for those that are. And I promise you, we'll do what we can to help them get the proper closure, because that's a serious thing for people and they should have closure. There's the staffs do lots of great parties and those are easy to do, but the teachers that are retiring or the staff that are retiring need to say a way to say goodbye to their kids in some way, shape, or form. So we'll have to work on that. Good question.
Okay, and again, somebody is asking, and I'm sure this is going to be a toughie. What about graduation for seniors? If we do not return, will diplomas be mailed? Will there be any Regents exams, or are they canceled?
No word on Regents exams yet. No word on Regents exams. I think that is probably dependent on whether the school year ends. You know, whether we're in or out. I'm hoping that we'll have graduation. I'd love to have 3,500 people there. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I can think of other ways to do it. I have that in my head. I'm sure that the people on the call can think of other ways to do it. If we can't have 3,500 people there, it's a significant milestone for our students. Significant. They have a right to have it. There's a way to do that. I want to honor that. I guess when we hit the peak and we're on the downside of this, that'll probably be one of the first two questions we have to answer. How do we do it safely? How do we not we're flattening the curve. How do we not bump the curve back up by putting 3,500 people together? You know, do we do it with just restricted guests and spread them out? Do we do it on television? I don't even want to get into how we could do it, but we have to do something for those 400 kids. You know, I'm looking at Ray Granieri, my niece. She's one of them. Not fair. Not fair to her. Not fair to her classmates. I know what my kids, how they celebrated. It was great. We have to do everything. The community will rise to that. A post-prom party. One of the greatest things that this school district has done since 2008. And I was lucky to be part of the first one. That has to happen. Can we do it in July? Can we do it in August? Can we do it before kids go to college? Can we do it? Can we keep it at the regular date? Too early to answer that. But I just want the listeners to know that it's not something that we're not thinking about. We are.
Okay. One of the teachers has said there's no information on the NU website about the NU STEP classes. And she has sent an email and will share the information when she hears back.
Awesome. Thank you. I have not personally gone to the site. I did speak to Dr. Colley and Father Mahar, and they both told me, and I don't want to hang them out there, that they're filling their webpage with as much information as possible, and that was their guidance to me. But whoever that teacher is, thank you. And
Michelle.
if you have something, share it, and I'll verify it and use it.
Thank you. Raj, do you see anything else?
Yes, teacher who also a parent of students in the district. She's not sure as to whether or not she needs to contact the school on Tuesday for homework packets for her high school age children. She's not sure. If she's not sure, perhaps other parents are also unsure.
What I have to do tomorrow is devote pretty much my whole auto dialer call and my whole YouTube video to this question, because it's still probably the most nebulous, that's the right word, and I'm sure Matthew will tell me if it's not, the most really unclear issue. No, what I understand the high schools are going to do, and I have it right here, let me dig it out. The high school will be calling parents to come in to pick up packets when they're ready. They're going to have pre-orders. Sounds like a fish fry. Now I'm getting punchy. We're taking pre-orders, handing them out by individual last name. A through L at the red-green exterior door, M through Z at the blue-yellow door. To avoid any congestion and interaction, they'll use the red-green cafeteria doors by the back parking lot, blue-yellow, A through L at one, M through Z at another. It'll go on for 2 hours. There'll be individualized packets. Can you believe how much work that's going to be? That's a ton of work. And that we'll do two things with respect to confusion or not enough information on that, because I understand it. One, I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll also ask Ms. Jones to do it in a very succinct, clear way herself each day this week on her auto dialer. What else?
I think you've covered just about every topic by touching on it when you're talking about one thing, and it kind of branched out to a lot of these concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about issues still undetermined regarding graduation, regents exam, and so on, things that probably the state will
Yes.
issue information on that.
Yeah.
I think anything else can be addressed when we go through the report from the webinar, and we can pass those questions on. I think most of them, if not all of them, were addressed in some fashion.
270 brave souls made it through 90 minutes. Probably
without a bathroom break.
Yes.
Without a bathroom break. Yeah. Yeah, right. I stopped the Irishman twice. So let me just give some concluding comments. Remember our 4 objectives. Well, aside from safety of kids and adults, that's not even an objective. That goes without saying. Communication between. We'll do another Sunday night webinar next week. I think it may not be 90 minutes. It may be 30 minutes. That's number 1. We'll do our daily auto dialers and YouTube videos. Next, our schools will have the ability to do their own personal auto dialers, and that's a more specific message. Medications, medical questions, mental health questions. If you can't contact one of your administrators, get to Dr. Civaroli. Lunches. The plan is every day this week. And the plan will be to continue food service during the Easter break. Finally, learning packets. This is the week for learning packets. Beginning Tuesday, not only will learning packets be available for K-8 in some form, all kinds of hardcover books from teachers' desk and other nice goodies. Remember, remind people, pick up and go. Dr. Civaroli, the auditor, will be out there watching. Pick up and go. We will do another webinar next Sunday, 7 o'clock. I like 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I like 7 o'clock.
Very
Again, if it's 30, I hope people feel like, we're communicating enough. I don't think you can ever over communicate, but I don't want to keep repeating myself. But I mean, even we got some things out there tonight that haven't said on the calls or the video, with respect to my thinking going forward. We may have more information. I have to tell you, there is nothing that I know that I haven't shared. I really, there's no reason to hold anything back. Just about everything that happens, I'm trying to share. Tomorrow I'll meet with administrators. Again, I apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody if I've overlooked someone or something. It's not because I don't appreciate you. It's because I just forgot it. Remember the resources that are out there. Public libraries open, daycare at the Boys and Girls Club. Those are free resources. Mental health crisis lines are free. We did submit our plan to the state. I guess I've read what this whole webinar was, our plan to the state. So there was nothing in there that's really significant. Anytime something comes out, we'll blast it out in as many channels as possible. Roger and Jean, thank you for putting this together. Again, a thank you to all of the staff. If you've reached out to kids, thank you. If you've taken care of yourself, thank you. If you've taken care of your family, thank you. I'll have my personal time and I'll try to personally get around this district and talk to each and every one of you. I appreciate your support of me. Big thanks to the Board of Education. They have really shown that they're a true Board of Education, letting us run the operations of the district and giving us support at the highest level with financing, with policy, and with decision making. But I appreciate them. I appreciate the community. We'll also get on the OSC. Next time we get on the OSC, maybe we'll have a couple of board members, maybe a teacher, maybe a staff member that's doing the learning packets so that you can watch 1302. Thanks to Rich Moranto. All right.
Very good.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, and we just want to remind everybody that in 1 hour, you will be getting an email saying thank you for attending the webinar. And inside that email, there is a link to a short survey in which you can ask questions or voice any concerns, and we can get those along to Mr. Laurie. So
yeah, if we forgot something, that's good, Gene. Make sure they put the question in. That means that if I said it and it's a repeat, it means I'm not emphasizing it enough. If it's something we haven't thought of, that means that we got to talk more about it. So I'm good with all that.
okay. And again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Mr. Laurie. Thank you, Mr. Granieri. Raj, anything else? If not, we'll say
No, just everyone, please wash those hands, stay safe, and look for the follow-up email coming shortly.
good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night, everyone.